Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Yo, boom, boom, boom!
What a mark.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Accidental Wrestling Fan. It's Damon and Kaz in our lovely homes. I am trying to get all this stuff off of my screen so we can jump right into this this podcast. Yeah, a lot of news, I guess, to talk about today, huh?
Yeah, there's some news out there.
Yeah, but before we really get going into that, as always, we want to give a shout out to our, I guess, partners over at TeePublic. We have our TeePublic store there. It's tee.pub/lic/Podbros. And if you go there, you can see all of the designs in our store. I typed that completely wrong. I just realized. Thank God I'm editing these videos better, so that way I can actually pull up what I need to pull up on the screen. So if you go to teepublic.com and you type in Podbros Network, you should be able to find our store that way. As soon as you type that in, you'll see the Downriver Top Team shirt, the Hooker shirt, and just go ahead and click that, and that can get you to our shirt or our store. And of course, the te.pub/lsc/podbros link will get you to our store a lot faster. Tank tops, crew neck t-shirts. We got kids outfits, t-shirts, hoodies, onesies for babies, mugs, pillows, wall art, notebooks, laptop cases. You can put any of the Podbros designs on there. And then there's designs in the store that have been curated by myself or John, designs that we thought were cool that kind of tie into the overall theme of the network and tie into some of the other shows. If you check those out, some of those awesome artists will get paid and we get a little bit of a kickback. So there we go.
Very nice.
Yep.
Hey, look at that.
Yep. If you haven't purchased through TeePublic yet, you'll get 15% off of your first purchase. So if you're listening to this or watching this, you'll definitely want to check that out. And of course, you can go over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/podbros. We've got a TOF tier. If you scroll down to the bottom and click show more levels, you'll see our $1 tier and our $2 tier. We finally have two of our first $2 tier patrons, which are Sean, who is a longtime supporter of the show and former host of the show. We're going to get Sean back onto the show very soon. Now that we're doing this via Skype, we'll be able to bring more people back, which is going to be awesome. And then, of course, my lovely girlfriend, Paige, she was a patron. So we're waiting for them to give us the promos that they want us to reenact. And I honestly cannot wait to do that. I'm very curious to see as to what they're going to pick. So, yeah, all of that housekeeping nonsense out of the way. First thing we want to talk about, we didn't get a chance to really record last week. We want to touch base on our TOF Royal Rumble Challenge. I know we had kind of convoluted rules, and we realized that as we were going over the totals, because I got Brock Lesnar and I single-handedly won. I would have won both competitions with just Brock. Like,
Yeah, by a landslide.
yes. So, if you remember the rules, it was we randomly generated an entrant number, and then you get 10 points for an elimination, 1 point for every minute that you're in the match, minus 5 points if your person is eliminated, and then 50 points if you win the entire match. And we took the total of both the women and the men's matches. For the women, John drew number 19, who was Beth Phoenix. She was in for 23 minutes. She got one elimination, which minus her 5 points for being eliminated gave John 28. I I mean, poor Kaz got -2 for the women because
Fucking Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox was in the match for less than 4 minutes and then got eliminated. So that gave poor Kaz negative points. Let's see, 3 minus the 5 gave him -2. And then he got 2 in the men's match. So Kaz finished with a grand total of 0. And then somehow, because I got Brock Lesnar, I got 152 points total because I got 1 point for the women's match and then 151 in the men's match. Thanks, Brock.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the last episode we recorded, it was randomly drawn, so you drew number 1.
Yeah. I
It's
guess you
just
guys.
hilarious that I finished with 0 points. I'm trash.
God, man, if you are the Cleveland Cavaliers and I'm like the Clippers or something, man, it's just complete blowout. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the business.
It is the business. I hope you're not salty about it and tweet about how you feel betrayed, like Andre Drummond.
No, I didn't even see that tweet. What did he tweet?
Basically, that he had no clue that it was coming, even though
Oh God.
people have been clamoring to trade him for a while. So, in the trade deadline's coming up, you're on a team that's not doing the best, and you've got somewhat trade value. You should have figured you're probably going to get dealt.
It was either trade him for something or lose him to free agency. So, I mean, we got a bag of potato chips for him, but at least it's something.
I think we got a bag of flaming hot Cheetos for him
Yeah.
and
Hey,
a
is he
rock and
still
rock.
banging that Nickelodeon broad?
No, I don't think they're banging anymore. I think that was done a long time ago.
The height difference between them two was astonishing.
He's over a foot taller than her.
Yeah.
I think she's barely 5 feet tall.
Wonder if Andre's got a hog. Probably not. Fuck him. Fuck Andre Drummond. One of the worst Pistons of all time.
Of all time?
Like as far as like star, he was supposed to be like the star of the Pistons the past whatever so years he's been here. His personality is super like dry and stale, and I mean he's all right player, but he was nothing spectacular ever. I don't know, I ain't gonna miss him.
Would you rate John Barry higher than him as a Piston?
Better? John Barry has a better Piston than Andre Drummond?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Not to disparage John Barry, I just pulled a random name out of my ass. I just wanted to see what Cass thought where Andre Drummond ranked. But enough basketball talk here.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next topic. I mean, kind of appropriate that we're talking about trades and free agency. 2 big free agent pickups for WWE: Timothy Thatcher and Killer Kross. I know Killer Kross has some buzz about him. He's kind of been off the grid a little bit because of a contract dispute that he had with Impact Wrestling. He'd been doing a lot of indie stuff and doing Bloodsport. He famously called out Batista for Bloodsport this upcoming Bloodsport at, down in Tampa, I believe it is. I don't know if he'll be on the next edition of Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, but Killer Kross, is someone who a lot of people have been really, really buzzing about, really wanting to see move into a bigger picture, whether that's AEW or WWE, and now he is in NXT.
Yes.
So, Kaz, I know you're not super familiar with him, but what's your overall impression of Killer Kross?
I mean, from what I've seen, he's, quite good. Like I said, I haven't, him being an Impact and stuff, I never really got to see a lot of work from him. But as far as like one of the hottest free agents on the market right now, I think he might have been the hottest, would you say?
Yeah, I feel like he is because There, there is something I felt like he could have really lent to maybe a Ring of Honor or Impact, or I'm sorry, not Impact, but AEW, because he's big and he
Yeah.
can talk. And I think he's got a style of wrestling that lends itself to Ring of Honor. But I think he's got a presence and promo style that would really lend itself to AEW. So I'm
Yeah,
curious to see how he's going to get used in NXT. I wonder if the fact that Scarlett Bordeaux, his real life girlfriend, if that was any influence in his decision. I got to
uh,
imagine they may get paired together.
I was just gonna mention that if that might have been something that really pushed him to sign with, WWE because she had signed like a couple months ago, I believe. She hasn't been on TV or anything yet, but I'm sure that definitely had a part in it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that had a part in his decision. And
Do you think he'll be able to keep that name?
Killer Cross, I don't know if they'll let him keep Killer Cross. You saw it happen with War Machine. They became the War Raiders.
Is there
Uh,
any chance he keeps that name?
no, I could see them maybe just calling him just Cross with a K, or maybe just calling him Kevin Cross. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Kind of sucks he can't use that name. I wonder how familiar the NXT crowd will be with him. I'm sure at this upcoming NXT Portland pay-per-view, you know how they always like show the up and coming signee in the crowd. I'm guessing him and probably Timothy Thatcher will be in the crowd. I wonder how the pop will be for both of them.
yeah, I gotta imagine
Because
that
they
they'll both.
usually, when they show the person, they have the name under, you know what I mean?
Yeah, then they usually use their old name before they change it because Asuka was shown as Kana when she was
Ah,
first signed.
right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to use him. I feel like he's the kind of guy that would get fast tracked because he's like 6'3" or 6'4". He's got a good look. He can talk. I feel like he would get fast tracked to be a top guy in NXT especially.
Yeah, do you possibly even see him being involved in that pay-per-view?
I
Like
don't
being brought
know.
in right away? Or do you think they're gonna want to have the fan base get a little bit more familiar with him? Or do you think he's already established enough and known enough to where they could throw him in and just get him going with someone or something?
I'm not sure because you see a guy like Dijakovic who was doing the Florida house show loop for NXT for what felt like almost years before he finally got on TV. Uh, I feel like Damian Priest, was kind of in that same boat as well. I don't know if they're going to have him doing that Florida house show loop to have him kind of figure out something that works before they bring him on the TV. But there's
Yeah.
some people that they would bring right to TV and have maybe a competitive match and lose, or a guy like Adam Cole, he was fast tracked right away. He won the North American Championship in like very short order. EC3 was put into the North American Championship match in his very first NXT match. So I'm very curious to see how they take Killer Cross along whichever path.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that pay-per-view and if they do that or not.
Yeah, very curious to see that. Also, very curious to see how Timothy Thatcher is going to be used. He is a guy who I'm a big fan of. Very tall, very serious kind of competitor.
Yeah.
He's a throwback. He's a very mat based wrestler, hard hitting. He's very much a throwback. I don't know if he'd be everyone's cup of tea in NXT. I mean, if he's just gonna stay in NXT as more of like a player coach type role, like Cassius Ono, maybe he could succeed there. Or maybe they could use him in NXT UK. he's wrestled extensively in the UK, so much so that I actually thought he was British until I heard him talk. I thought he was British for years.
See, he's a guy whose name I know, but I haven't seen. I don't even know if I've seen anything. Well, he was an original member of the ring comp thing, right?
Yep, he was in the original version of Ring Comp. I think it was he, Marcel Bartel, who is now, or originally Axel Dieter, and then of course Walter. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if they will put him in that group, or if maybe they put him in some sort of group in NXT in America. Maybe they put him in a group with someone like Drew Gulak. I know Drew Gulak just recently. Uh, I think he filed a trademark for Catchpoint, so maybe they'll try to bring Catchpoint to WWE, or maybe it's just something that Gulak wanted to do to kind of take advantage of merchandising with the
Yeah.
Catchpoint name. I'm curious to see. I keep saying curious to see. I hope no one's keeping track of that.
Drink every time you say that.
All right, please
Now,
don't do that. You'll die.
as far as these two signing with WWE, how do you think AEW feels about it? Do you think that AEW was trying to make a push for these guys? I haven't read any reports of that, but you would have to think with, from my perspective, AEW's kind of lackluster roster, very thin roster. They would have loved to have these two dudes, and now they don't. What do you think about that?
Um, well, I know one of the big things that people have mentioned, and I think I've mentioned that myself, and maybe you, is the lack of big guys
Yeah,
in AEW. I know they present Hangman Page as a big guy, which is weird because he's not that big. They almost present him in a way that he's like the biggest heavyweight dude in the company, and that's kind of odd. Um,
is he though?
No, he's like Kenny Omega's height. I think they're both billed as
Hmm.
6 feet tall.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't watched it, so I have no idea. Are
And
they
and
portraying him as like an alcoholic?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Really?
they're trying to make it seem like, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong because there's people that watch Being the Elite religiously, and I don't watch it that much. I only watch it if I read that there's something really really funny in one of the episodes. But he is being portrayed, I believe, as um, a young guy who kind of bit off more than he could chew, and his friends are having all this success, but he really hasn't since AEW started,
Okay.
and he feels kind of left out and got depressed and started drinking a ton. And I
Uh,
know one of my big criticisms about Hangman, I like Hangman. I think he's an awesome wrestler. I just didn't like that it felt like his character was basically just he's a dude who's really good at wrestling. He's maybe a cowboy. He has a big dick.
yeah.
He didn't really have much of a character. But now he started doing this drinking thing and he's super over with the crowd. But they're also doing this thing where
But is it like
they
a sad drinking thing? Like, oh no, he has a problem, or is it like, oh, he's just fun, he drinks beer and stuff?
no, they're going down the path of he has a problem.
Oh, okay.
I think they're making fun of a lot of the popular babyface characters in wrestling that have been
Yeah.
big time drinkers. I think they're kind of making fun of that because I don't think those guys are all really drinkers.
Yeah, I'm pretty
So
sure like the Bucks are like straight edge and shit.
yeah,
Like
so
those dudes.
maybe it's them making fun of that. So I don't know how this is gonna go because the making Matt hold his beer, hitting the buckshot lariat, drinking the beer, and then leaving. The crowd went nuts for that. And then Matt took his beer and then he pulled out a pitcher and started drinking it. The crowd went nuts for that. And so now you're putting yourself in this position. Is Hangman supposed to turn into a bad guy? Because how would he be a bad guy? All of his friends are assholes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just went on a tangent there about Hangman Page. But back to the bigger bodies in AEW thing. Thatcher's big guy, 6'3", 230. Kevin Kross, about 6'4", 6'3", about 240, 50, somewhere in that ballpark. So those guys would have really stood out on the AEW roster.
It just would have been, two new pieces that they could use, I feel like with AEW, it's the same matchups and stuff every week.
Yeah, I feel like I know they're trying to cycle people out because of the limited amount of TV, but it also does feel like the same matchups over and over again. And I kind of want something to freshen it up. Also, I just want just different types of characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the idea of them having a serious, no nonsense grappler guy like Tim Thatcher. Killer Kross, I think, would have been a great fit. Maybe he could have been the exalted one for the Dark Order. I think he would have been a great fit in that role because he's a talker.
For sure.
He did a similar role in Lucha Underground as the what was he? The White Rabbit. He was the leader of the Rabbit clan with Paul London.
I think a Killer Kross Pac feud would be very nice.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to see those kind of clash of personalities because they both have that evil kind of how would I describe it? I don't know. It's like a Black Knight type of character. Yeah. I think they're both really good at that, but in their own way.
But AEW reportedly has signed Luke Harper, or Brody Lee, as he will be, calling himself again.
Yeah.
So that's really big. That's big for AEW. I was clamoring for that signing for them once he was, officially released by WWE. I felt they needed to go get him.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a guy that fans really love.
He's a face. He's a face that will pop up on AEW and they'll know who it is and they'll get a big pop, and it's a good move on their part.
Yeah, and then you get someone who's known, who's been on WWE, so maybe more casual viewers might be able to recognize him. And then you get a veteran and a guy who can work his ass off, man. Luke Harper or Brody Lee is a great wrestler. He's kind of very similar to Bruiser Brody and the big guy that can move. He can do power moves, power bombs, suicide dives, super kicks, Hurricane Ranas. The dude can do everything.
He'll probably be revealed as the leader of that Dark Matter group.
Dark Matter, Dark Order.
Dork Order.
Did you make that up?
No, Jim Cornette made that up.
Oh, okay. Oh man, what's up with Cornette? Him and
Meltzer had that falling out.
Yeah, him and Meltzer aren't returning each other's calls. They're not sending each other Christmas gifts.
Who knows? Both being childish. It's over. Like, I think Meltzer was comparing the Flair and Steamboat matches to the Okada Omega matches, and Jim Cornette just wasn't having that, and blah blah blah. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
I'll admit I've never watched Flair Steamboat.
Really?
Never watched it. Is it good? Is it that good?
Well, there's a bunch of them. They've wrestled.
I guess
times.
what is it? What's the one that's always talked about? Ain't there like the one match that's like holy shit?
So I think there's like 3 or 4 matches that everyone always knows. There's I think the Chi-Town Rumble. I think Halloween Havoc is one, and then there's one at Clash of the Champions. They had a series of matches that were awesome.
You like them? You think they're awesome?
Yeah, I think they're good.
Oh, all right. I have to watch them.
I think, yeah, they're similar in the fact of two guys having a rivalry and it kind of building up to, like the 2 hour 3 falls match to see who's the better man. And I think they're really good matches. I think those guys have really good chemistry. I think Okada and Omega have really good chemistry. I think their matches are tremendous.
Do you think it's wrong to compare both sets of matches?
No, you
Do
can
you see
compare.
similarities in them?
Yeah, you definitely can see similarities in, um, a cocky, brash champion who has had a rivalry with this. Well, I wouldn't call Omega like a young upstart, but a veteran who's kind of looking to prove himself and finally break through as a top guy, but someone who's been around for a long time and fans always really liked. And that's kind of what that feud was. And they're both very similar in matches that had a lot of drama, a lot of great technical ability, and it was really just built on them trying to figure out who the better man was. There was no real gimmicks to it. It wasn't necessarily a blood feud. It was just two dudes who were trying to test each other's limits and test each other's egos as far as a sport aspect goes. Um,
Yeah.
I think you can absolutely compare those. Um, I don't understand why Jim Cornette would get bent out of shape about that, but then I just don't understand really a lot of why Jim Cornette gets upset about things. I feel like, he likes what he likes and no one's going to change his mind, and that's cool. But also, it seems like he goes out of his way to say that something sucks or he doesn't like something or really make a big stink out of it. But at the end of the day, I know that he's just trying to get people to listen to his podcast or come to one of his talks or whatever it is. So,
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much set in his ways as that old school, way of doing it. I mean, I do listen to his podcast a lot, and he reviews a lot of NXT and AEW, and he seems to review it pretty well. He doesn't like side with one, even though he does bash a lot of what AEW does and stuff like that. But he gives it to NXT as well. But yeah, he's just I don't know. You're never gonna change Jim Cornette's way of thinking.
yeah, that's
Like it's
true.
just the way it is.
And you won't change Meltzer's way of thinking, but it
But
is.
Jim Cornette's argument to that is that Meltzer has changed his way of thinking, and that Meltzer is like so far up the elite's ass that he's forgotten about, what real wrestling's about. And that's kind of what Jim Cornette was alluding to in the whole Twitter beef. Like, y- you know what I mean?
Yeah. Uh,
Like,
I,
Dave Meltzer's a mark for the elite guys is pretty much what Cornette's going on about.
it all boils down to the elite guys tick the boxes of what Dave Meltzer likes in pro wrestling, and it doesn't tick the boxes of what Jim Cornette likes about wrestling, which for me is kind of mind blowing because the matches with Okada and Omega would seem to be everything that Jim Cornette would love about wrestling.
He hates Kenny Omega, though. I don't think he can get past the hatred for Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
Like, honestly, he hates him. He hates his guts.
and to the point where I don't I don't think he can look at any of Kenny Omega's matches objectively because of how much he dislikes some of the comedy stuff that Kenny Omega did earlier in his career. He hated
Exactly,
the
exactly.
blow up doll and wrestling the little girl. He can't get past that, even though, I mean, that's that's literally like 15 years ago at this point.
Yeah, and I'm not even a huge fan of Kenny Omega or Okada, but those matches are fucking incredible. There's
Yeah,
nothing comedic about those matches. Those are some of the best pure wrestling matches I've ever seen. Um, I wonder if, Jim has ever actually sat down and watched those matches.
yeah. Part of me thinks that he has. I would
Yeah.
strongly lean towards he's watched it, and deep down, he probably really enjoys them. I think he just plays it up because he knows it's going to get him clicks on his podcast and YouTube channel because people that hate him are going to click on it and listen to it, and it's going to drive up his numbers. His analytics are going to look great. He's going to have a bunch of traffic.
Yeah.
So respect him because he's figured it out that it's all about
He's
getting
working.
clicks.
He's working.
Exactly. He's getting heat. He's found a way to kind of still keep it old school in a new school era.
That's a
So
good way of putting it.
respect to him for that. You know, it's everything in every aspect of every business. It's all about getting clicks, and he's figured out a way to get clicks.
Yeah, for sure. And don't get me wrong, Jim Cornette has said some outlandish, wild shit, and he's really tipped the lines of a lot of shit, racism and homophobia and all that. But deep down, I don't think he's that. But a lot of people think he is.
Yeah.
And it's weird because he's super left wing.
Oh, he's
Like he
very much
hates
a
like
lefty.
Donald Trump, and it's just weird. It's kind of hard to, is he just playing a role like you said? Who knows? But I like I said, I do listen to his podcast a lot, and I like hearing what he has to say. I like hearing the old stories and stuff. I don't know. I find the guy entertaining, and that's what he is. He's entertaining.
Yep, that's exactly it. So, with Cornette and Meltzer's beef out of the way, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about Jim Cornette's rants. Whether you agree with them or agree with them, are pretty damn funny sometimes. But you mentioned Luke Harper. I just wanted to note that AEW is making their New York debut in Rochester, and that is going to be, let's see here, I believe it's March 18th, if I'm reading this correctly. So yeah, March 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day. It's a Wednesday. Luke Harper will more than likely make his AEW debut. If I remember correctly from what Meltzer was saying, Harper could debut before that, but it's better for him to do it in his hometown because he's going to get a monster pop.
Yeah, for sure.
And
They
sorry, go ahead.
No, they might as well wait for that.
Exactly. John Moxley's gonna die.
Yeah.
If no one knows about the history of John Moxley and Brody Lee on the Indies, find some of their CZW matches. They beat the shit out of each other.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen them.
Yeah, they beat the shit out of each other.
Like deathmatch style, or?
Yeah, I believe there's some deathmatch elements to it. Let me see if I can pull it up here on the U of the tube.
Listen, I might not be an AEW fan, but it is another, place that these wrestlers can go, and I was always bitter that WWE just stopped using Luke Harper and never really used him. He had that little run with the IC title for a minute. That was about it. I'm glad he's going to get to go here and probably have a lot more control over his creative status, and hopefully does big things over there. He can be a star over there, definitely.
I believe he will be a big time star. I believe that see, this is what I'm talking about, Kaz. They put glass in the ring. They put glass in here. Did I miss it when they go through the glass? I did. Yep, here it is. Right here.
Oof.
Yeah. Glass, man. I can't believe that somewhere along the line, someone was like, hey, you know what's going to make this match even better? What, dude? I want you to body slam me through fucking glass.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Excuse me. Hey, can you take these gusset plates and just jam them into my back? Thanks.
Dude, I seen a spot the other day of some Japanese deathmatch dudes. It might have been that fucking Takeda dude.
Oh, with the he took like a spike to the back or something?
It was like knives or something, like swords, like straight to his back, like a back drop. You could probably find it.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get sued for watching all this?
No, trust me, I'll find a way around it. Takeda knife wrestling. Let's see if I can find that. course, I can't find that. I have to go to.
I think it was that dude.
Let's see here.
Yeah, Mr. Lariotto probably has it.
I know because our good pal Fro tweeted it.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Oren Vate before versus Takeda. Oh God. Let me mute that.
I think it's like swords or something. You can
Yeah.
see his back like open up.
Yep. It's a sidewalk slam.
Oh my God.
Oh. Oh, dude.
Why? Like why?
Bro. Bro. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Insane.
You know what? Oh, you know what's crazy? That dude is a really good wrestler.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. He
He
probably
just
makes a ton of yen doing the deathmatch stuff.
that's
You know
that's
what I
what
mean?
I've heard. I believe Sammy Callahan said that you make more money when you do death matches.
Speaking of GCW, they'll be coming to our hometown here in a couple months.
Couple months
Or
next
a
month,
month.
man. Yeah, GCW Wrestling, Lincoln Park.
I mean, it's gonna be in fucking Lincoln Park, and AEW star Joey Janela
And they called it Guilty Conscience, like the
be in Lincoln Park.
Eminem, Jay-Z, or not Jay-Z, Dr. Dre from the Slim Shady LP. Fucking
Are you trying to go to this?
that's on a Saturday. That's on the Saturday that I get back from Vegas for work. I'll be in Vegas from St. Patrick's Day to that Friday, March 20th. But I'd be down to go. I'd be down to venture back down river and watch people get fucking destroyed by glass.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about buying tickets in advance 'cause I don't know how big that VFW hall is. I think
Yeah,
it's gonna be on Fight TV as well.
yeah, man, that's
It's
wild.
pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, it's gonna be at the VFW Hall, 1125 Fort Street, Lincoln
Right,
Park, Michigan.
right
Zip.
across the street from the roller rink.
That's right. That is within walking distance of where I used to live, my
Yeah,
brother's house. So I know if this would have happened maybe a year ago, I would have been tanked and just walked home.
but yeah, if you're from downriver Michigan, buy your tickets.
Yeah, buy our tickets. Go check it out, man. You might be able to meet me or Cass. Also, right around the corner from me, I believe Evolve is coming to Michigan again in Livonia, March 14th. Let's see here.
Oh,
Yep,
really?
Evolve 147, Livonia, Michigan, Saturday, March 14th. So that's actually the weekend before I go out of town. So
Yeah, I'll have to go to this one.
yeah,
Any NXT dudes gonna be there?
let's see here. Josh Briggs, besties in the world. I thought I saw that Johnny Gargano was going to be at one of these shows, but it doesn't appear to be that way. I gotta tell you though, I'm starting to get to the point where I can't keep up with wrestling as much as I used to. I'm starting not to recognize people's names.
Yeah, there's so much shit.
Like the tag team champions are the besties in the world. I didn't even know that AR Fox and Leon Ruff lost the belts. I had no clue because they were the champions the last time I watched an Evolve show, which is the last time they were in Livonia.
Like you said, it's almost too much to keep up with.
Yeah, look at us. We do a wrestling podcast and we only watch like 2 shows. But there's another thing that you brought up before we started recording, and we were both kind of confused by it. And I feel like this is something that I should be able to understand a little better. But you mentioned that WWE was entertaining the idea of selling their pay-per-view rights to a major streaming service, and this was reported on Sports Illustrated by Dan Gartland around 6 hours ago. And it says that WWE is in major talks to sell some of its video content, including pay-per-view broadcasts, to major streaming services, said Vince McMahon. I don't really know what this means. Does that mean that we would need to have two services to be able to watch the pay-per-views?
Man, I don't know. I hope not. I know they were talking about, well, we didn't really talk about it, and this is more of the business aspect of the company, which I'm not very good with, but they let go like the president or whatever of WWE,
Yeah, they let
or
go.
president and vice president or something like that.
Yep, they fired Michelle Wilson and George Barrios. Fuck me. George Barrios was the CFO when he joined WWE in 2008, and he's been the president. He was the co-president, excuse me.
Yeah, I guess the firings, I guess, really shook the world up. I guess it was like a big thing that came out of nowhere because these were like the number one and number two behind Vince.
Yeah. Let's see, what was Michelle Wilson's role in WWE? Because these are names that I'd always hear when I'd read about some of the business aspects of WWE, but I can't ever remember what their specific titles were. Oh, they were co-presidents of WWE.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were fired because the stock is way down, right?
Yeah, it was something to do with revenue and Vince not being happy with how it was going.
I might legitimately try to buy some stock in WWE.
Yeah, why not, huh?
I mean, dude, it's $44 a share.
Yeah, it did drop significantly.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. I'm gonna try to see if I can get some WWE stock. So once you know Bray Wyatt and Baron Corbin spark the next Attitude Era, I'm gonna be a rich man.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. It seems like with the pay-per-view thing, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I am a big fan though of them uh, expanding to have tiers of access. I'm a big fan in the sense that I would gladly pay more money to access more like independent wrestling content and
Yeah,
being able
definitely.
to because I feel like I would start watching more wrestling again if I could watch more of it in one place. I feel like with having it spread across from AEW has its own thing and they do stuff with Bleacher Report. WWE has its own thing. And then Evolve, you need WWN Network. And then other companies like to go through High Spots, or you have to watch it through Fight TV. Ring of Honor has its own thing. I would just like to be able to watch as much of it as I can in one place. And I would love to be able to pay instead of the $9.99. I would spend $15 a month to watch more of it gladly.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely pay a little bit more to do that as well. I mean, I'm paying for WWE Network right now, paying for New Japan World right now, which is great. Very happy I purchased that finally.
Oh yeah, I've been able to poke around on the back end of New Japan World. I love it. I like being able to find old matches. I like how it's set up where you can find different matches for different events. You know, they'll be like
Yeah,
this. These are the best matches of like Wrestle Kingdom. I feel like that's something more of these wrestling streaming services should have. And actually, one of the features that Jeff of the PH brought up earlier is that he had heard a lot about the Sandman Raven rivalry from the mid 90s in ECW. And he wanted to be able to follow the entire rivalry with all of the segments and promos. And I feel like all of these wrestling streaming services are kind of missing the boat on that. Like
yeah, I agree.
if I wanted to sit down on a Sunday, Saturday afternoon, and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna get up in the morning and I'm gonna watch the entire I'm gonna watch the entire Hollywood Blondes Four Horsemen feud from every match and every promo, like their first match or last match. I should be able to do that.
Definitely.
So someone's got to make that happen.
I always was wanting like a random match button. Like you just click it and a match pops up.
Yeah, that would be awesome too, because so many times I've gone on the WWE network and wanted to watch a match and not really know where to start. I should be able to hit, like you said, random match, or maybe even type in the type of match or style that I'm looking for, maybe. And you
Yeah.
should type in, I want I want a cruiserweight match that's 15 minutes or longer. I should be able
Yeah,
to,
that'd be sweet.
to sort it like that and find something that I'm looking for.
Yeah, the search engine is kind of whack.
Yeah, that's been the big criticism since the beginning of the network's inception to even now, since they've updated the interface. It's still kind of wonky.
Now, as far as, this story right here of them selling the rights to a major or to major streaming, what is it, services or service?
The headline from Sports Illustrated says WWE considering selling pay-per-view rights to major streaming service,
Now,
singular.
what what
In the
what
in the body
service do you
though,
think that would be?
probably, does Fox have a streaming service like Fox Sports Go? I could see them doing something like that because you can watch UFC stuff, old UFCs on Fight Pass and ESPN Plus. I could see them doing something like that. You can watch it on Fox Sports. I don't think they would do like a Netflix thing.
Yeah, or like Disney Plus or some shit.
I don't think Disney Plus will want a lot of that content on there because Disney is like the most fucking sterile thing ever.
Yeah, that's true. But
I
they
was
own Fox, right?
I think they own 20th Century Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
I think we just got a cease and desist for even saying Disney's name on this podcast.
Yeah, we're not allowed, right?
Yeah, and if you're a teacher, don't screen Disney movies at your fundraiser. You're gonna get fined. Just letting you know now. That's a real thing that happened.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, they screened The Lion King and they got fucking fined. It's unreal.
Wow.
But
Interesting to see, if this actually happens.
yeah, interim CFO Frank Riddick said that everything was on the table. So I don't know what that's gonna mean. I think they should lean more towards the tier model.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that with them losing, the subscriptions decreased by 10% at the end of last year. So about, it says here, 1.42 million. I think giving people more options would get some of those subscribers back, because you lose a lot of people because they're just like, I don't really use this. There's nothing on here that I really like, or I can't find stuff that I want, or there's not a lot of customization or intuitive user interface for them to find stuff that they want. Because you get a lot of people, like I said, with our friend Jeff, who want to watch stuff that they've never seen before, or stuff they heard was great, and they can't really find it in the correct order. There's no way to watch it fluidly. You have to kind of stop, go to another show and search for it, make sure you're watching in order. And people don't want to get spoiled. They want to be able to enjoy it for the first time ever. And there's not really a way to watch that.
Yeah, I think also, the free month thing, I think hurts them.
Oh, you know how many people just create new
Yeah.
emails every month
I mean,
and
I'm
just watch stuff?
surprised they even still do that.
That's mind blowing.
That, and like you said, like most people probably only have the network for the pay-per-views.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you the last time I like went on the network and like tried to watch something else.
you know, I'm starting to think now, when's the last time I actually used my WWE network to watch something that wasn't a pay-per-view? Because the last time I fired it up even was the Royal Rumble.
I mean, the last like non-pay-per-view thing I watched was like one of the Stone Cold podcast things.
Yep, Broken Skull Sessions with The Undertaker, because that's how I got the
Yeah,
video. He said he's going to stretch my ass.
I think the last one I watched was the Goldberg one.
Oh, is that any good?
That was pretty good.
I have to check that out.
Rumor has it that he has Bret Hart on one of them coming up.
Oh, that should be a good one.
Yeah,
Bret Hart, man, some of the excerpts I've read from his book, he is an unbelievable storyteller because he was doing some outlandish shit and he was a married man through a lot of it.
yeah. I read a report recently that he has like skin cancer or something.
Unbelievable.
I think he might have caught it early enough to where they can just like cut it out or something shit.
That's good, man. But Bret Hart is a trooper, and that dude has gone through so much shit, and he keeps on ticking.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that would be a pretty interesting back and forth between them two, Austin and Bret.
Yeah. Maybe they could talk about how Austin never actually beat Bret in a match. I don't think he ever pinned him.
Yeah, that's true.
But it got Austin so unbelievably over that he became an undeniable superstar. And it was because of a feud where he never actually beat the other guy.
Yeah, Austin owes a lot to Bret probably. He put him over in a weird way, you know what I mean? With that WrestleMania 13 match. Austin didn't win, but Bret, I think it was better that Austin didn't win.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great match.
Fantastic match. All right, man. Anything else that we want to go over on this episode?
No, I'm glad we did this. I was actually just gonna go to sleep and not do this because I'm a coward.
I'm glad you did too, because I was starting to get kind of fired up and ready to record. We hadn't recorded in a week, and yeah, man, I'm glad we did this. It's been a long ass week at work, and this is probably one of my favorite ways to unwind. So
Absolutely.
thanks for toughing through it.
You're welcome, brother.
That's right. And when life and work kicks your ass and wants to drop you on your head, what should you do, Kaz?
Tuck your chin.
That's right.